a tall, unfamiliar man on the outskirts of the president's entourage caught Langston's eye. He felt certain he would have remembered the man if he'd seen him before, despite his completely nondescript clothes. He looked old, with his thick mane of white hair, and yet his movements were not those of an old man. His features were bleak and harsh, and disfigured by a scar slanting across his left cheek. Mr. President-elect, muttered D'Angelo, derailing his train of thought. I still see no reason for this meeting. If there's anything that needs to be settled, the staff's... Oh, it's all right, Sal. The president has asked for a private one-on-one conversation, and I see no reason to object. I'm curious to see what he wants. And besides, we can afford to be obliging. Yes, but... Before D'Angelo could finish, they passed by the cabinet room and the office of the president's private secretary, and reached the door that was their destination. Langston glanced around, but the mysterious old man was no longer in sight. The president led the way through the door. Langston followed, with Secret Service men politely but firmly shooing everyone else away. Then the door closed behind him, and he was in the Oval Office. The president sat down behind the massive oak desk in front of the tall French windows of foot-thick armored glass that admitted the pale light of late fall afternoon. He motioned to a chair across the desk. Langston was impressed despite himself as he crossed the carpet with the presidential seal in gold and red against the deep blue. The momentary mood vanished as his eyes fell on the flags of the 5 armed services in their traditional position to the right of the desk, along the south wall. Must get rid of those, he made a mental note to himself. Langston sat down and gazed across the desk at the man he would succeed in January. Silence and mutual loathing settled over the room. Mr. President, Langston finally began, I trust that in the spirit we both articulated at the press conference just now... Oh, cut the crap, the president interrupted in a voice as cold as his eyes. I'm well aware that you have no higher opinion of me than I have of you. So spare me your trademark smarmy hypocrisy. We're alone now, really alone, and we can dispense with the pap we were feeding those hyenas in the press room. Do you seriously expect me to believe that? You're just trying to trick me into... You can also spare me your paranoia. You know it's true, because otherwise I wouldn't be talking this way. Besides, what would be the point of trying to trap you into anything? It's too late for it to do any good. You've won. The president shook his head slowly, as though to clear it of a stunned disbelief that still hadn't worn off. There's no getting around that fact, and I'd even go so far as to call it 50% just. You didn't deserve to win, but Ortega did deserve to lose. Vice President Andrew Ortega had been the president's hand-picked choice to succeed him, in line with their party's strategy of reaching out to Hispanics. He'd won the nomination with little opposition save that of isolationist commentator Frank Ferguson, a Holocaust denial crank who had subsequently bolted the party and launched an independent candidacy with the announced aim of acting as a spoiler for that spick. Still, Ortega's election had seemed a foregone conclusion. The opposition party, knowing it couldn't win anyway, had thrown a sop to the old left hardcases who were its shock troops by nominating one of their own, the patently unelectable Harvey Langston, congressman from a California district for which the term La La Land might well have been coined. Then the unthinkable had begun to unfold. Ortega's campaign had been a parade of blunders, bloopers, pratfalls, and general ineptitude without modern precedent. The unfunny comedy show had climaxed the night of the final debate, when the vice president, whose handlers had believed his drinking problem to be safely in the past, had managed to not quite fall on his face on primetime TV. His apology to the nation the next day had made matters even worse than they would have been had he tried to brazen it out. Voter turnout